I'm joined by Laura Southall, who is a senior wealth advisor with Assante Wealth Management, and we're going to talk about financial literacy for teenagers. So last time around, we talked about financial literacy for children.
Right.
And just to quickly recap that you start early and you can bring a lot of life lessons into around money and make them aware of there's what to do with an allowance and so on.
Yes.
But now we got like a 13 to 19-year-old, and the subject, the conversation changes.
It does. It does. So 13 to 19 years old, they're often making their own money of some sort. So whether they're babysitting or they have a part-time job, but this is the time they can be making a lot of money. And as a parent, it's important to guide them, but not control them on this issue, and there's so much that they can learn. So the first thing I would say is you want to encourage them to save a portion of everything they earn. So every situation is different, but sort of the rule of thumb is save 50%, spend 50%. So as a parent, and maybe that's different for your child, but that's a rule of thumb. As a parent, you want to set this up so that this is easy for them to do. So set up a checking account for them to spend out of and a savings account for them to save out of, and then make it easy for them to transfer half of whatever they earn. So if they earn $50 babysitting, they deposit it, and then they transfer half to their savings and make it very easy and make the savings untouchable if possible. So no debit card to go with the savings. They debit all the time. I have 3 teenagers, so they use debit and they use e-transfer for everything. So it's important for them to have a debit card if they don't already, because then they can make some choices around spending. So it's important to let them make some choices. If that's supposed to be their spending money and they want to spend $60 at Starbucks that month, then you let them, because that's their choice, and they're going to start to understand the consequences of their actions. If they want to buy a pair of Lulu pants, then they buy a pair of Lulu pants. It's really important at this point to let them make choices around their money so that they can learn, because once they go off to post-secondary, they're going to be handling a lot more money, tuition, residence, rent, all these things. So if they haven't had early experiences in high school of saving and spending, then that experience in post-secondary can sometimes go very poorly. So it's an important time for them to just learn. But I would think that if you want to teach your child one thing, it's the habit of saving. If they learn that habit in their teenage years, they're going to carry it through to adulthood, and they're just going to think it's normal. So if they can learn the habit of saving a portion of everything they earn, huge advantages to that. But I would also say that goes hand in hand with setting a goal. So teaching them to set a goal. Say they want a new laptop or a new phone, or they want to save for going to university. They set that goal, and then they make a plan, and they save their money to achieve that. If we step in as parents and bail them out, buy them the new phone, buy them the new laptop without them saving, they're not learning anything. So,
brings me to, two questions actually. One is, you're a financial advisor. If a teenager came to you and said, I've saved $1,000 from my part-time job, would you help them with that, invest it for them?
So the law is that you're supposed to be 18 to be able to invest.
Okay.
And so you can have a TFSA at 18, and so I encourage young people to save for that point, and then they can open a TFSA and invest there. But for children and grandchildren of clients, I have opened in Trust 4 accounts where I let the teens invest, and then they start learning about investing as a teenager, and certainly nothing wrong with that. That's a huge advantage to learn that.
And okay, you mentioned TFSA.
Yeah.
How about paying taxes?
So you don't have to pay taxes. So you don't have to report taxes if you've earned less than $3,500 in a year, and you can earn up to $15,000 and not pay taxes. So if they've earned more than $3,500, I would encourage them to file taxes. So then they've earned at least RSP contribution room, but they won't have to pay tax unless they've earned more than $15,000.
And it's another one of those good habits to get into, that when April rolls around, you have to sit down and do this. You don't want to do it, nobody wants to do it, but you got to do it.
So my son ran a lawn mowing company, and he was up to 30 lawns a week, and he was starting to make quite a bit of money. So he was able to save. But then at tax time, I said, okay, so now you need to total up all your income for the year, all your expenses, and we did his taxes together. And he didn't have to pay any taxes, but he filed, and so he understood the whole concept, and we did it together.
Right, and that could
so he
lead
would
to a
see it.
lesson of why are you paying taxes? Where do your taxes go? In Ontario, first is medical, second is education. So who do you think is paying your teacher?
Right.
It is because you pay taxes. So there's a whole lesson around that too, that some people never quite get their head around, that, you know, yeah, we got to pay taxes, but you get a lot of stuff for your taxes too.
That's right. That's a great lesson, actually. I hadn't even thought of that piece.
Okay. You're welcome. And how about credit cards for teenagers?
Right. So once they're 18 and they go to post-secondary, they're really automatically given a credit card if they want it. If they're in college or university, they're going to get a credit card. The sort of standard limit now is $2,000. I used to say that they can wait, that they don't need to get it when they're 18. They can wait a few years, even till they graduate, to get a credit card. But now, with online everything, they really do need a credit card to order tickets or even take a bus home or anything. So they need a credit card, but then I want to encourage them to transfer money out of their checking account to their credit card the second they charge something, so that they're learning that habit, that it's not just free money, and then they're establishing good credit too by doing that.
Well, the other side of it is, if let's say they build up, they don't do that, and they now have a $2,000 debt, and they come to mom and say, Mom, I've gone and, I've got all this debt, and I don't have any money because I bought this with it, and what would you say?
Well, I would say that the child has to make a plan. Well, I guess it's not a child at that point. The young person needs to make a plan to pay it back. Having the parent solve that problem will teach them nothing. I have a presentation that I do for the Limestone schools where it shows if you purchased an iPhone on a credit card and took 5 years to pay it off, how much you would pay. And, it triples the price of the phone if you put it on a credit card.
18%.
Yes,
That's
crazy
think about
numbers.
What that is. You can't invest and get that.
No.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
And it is a problem that lots of young people have, right?
Yeah.
Credit cards, but also lines of credit, the Payday advanced loans. It's easy when they're in post-secondary to have these costs that they're not used to managing. And if they've had no experience with managing money, they can quickly get themselves into a lot of trouble.
Right, just Starbucks every day and
Oh,
all kinds of ways of frittering away money. If it's just on a card, you don't associate it with money coming out of your wallet in quite the same way.
Exactly.
Right.
I remember when I went to university, it was the first time, and so that was 93, and debit cards had just come out.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole difference between using a debit card and using cash, you had to mentally adjust to that. But really, these kids haven't seen anything else. They look at their apps on their phones, and they know how much money they have, and they have their debit card. And they want to pay each other, or they babysit people, e-transfer them money. So they look at their phone. The actual physical cash, they don't have a lot of.
Right,
It's a different world.
It's just a different world.
Yeah.
And how about entrepreneurship for teenagers?
Oh, I love entrepreneurship for teenagers. I think it's such a great opportunity for them to learn so much. So there's so many different things they can do. There's the standard, like I watched my son do the lawn mowing, which was great. He was making lots of money. But my other daughter taught piano lessons. So there's lots of ways to do that online too, for them to make money. But on top of just making money, the lessons that come out of that, managing money, but also customer service, being prompt, all these organizational
professionalism, marketing, like it's all there. And those are skills that will last you
forever.
Yes. So, Well, I've learned things today. I've really enjoyed this. So I thank you so much for coming in.
Oh no, thanks so much for having me.